Okay, so today we're going to kind of cover the concepts in chapter 2. They're really talking about formulas and functions. Formulas are where we take something and multiply it, divide it, add it, using our basic math operations. Functions, on the other hand, and it's a little confusing in Excel because we have what's called this formulas tab here. And the formulas tab really has these functions. Functions are things that are embedded in Excel that Excel already has defined, whereas a formula is going to be something where we type in what we want to use ourselves. Okay, and we typically use the formula bar to do that typing. Okay, so we're going to walk through this spreadsheet, this workbook, and we've got a lot of different sheets in here to show you the different items. Okay, this first one here, it says complete column E in the cells below, combining Xcel and Atmos energy costs for the property. Okay, so to do a combination, so when we think about combination, really that's taking two things and putting them together or adding them together. So in this instance, we're going to be adding the values in column C and column D. Okay, so I'm going to do an equals to start my formula. And as I told you guys last time, the easiest way to do things is to just click on the cell that you want to put in there, and then you can add the next cell. Okay, that's probably our easiest way to do this. But you could also, and I just want to show you, don't forget, you could type 8720, okay, and then you could add that to 14.35. The reason we don't want to do that is because then if those values changed, our numbers would be staying the same over here. Whereas if we reference what's actually going on in the cell C7 or cell D7, then we're going to be better off. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and make that C7 plus D7. Okay, now C7 plus D7 gives us an answer. I just hit enter to go down to the next cell, and it says that totals 101.55. Okay, last time I told you a little bit about this green box that's sitting right here at the bottom of this cell. If you get this black plus sign, there's a couple of ways you can do this. You can either pull it down like that, and it will copy that formula down, or if Excel can recognize it, you can double click. And double clicking will take it as long as it sees valid data. Okay, and we can come down here and we can double click in any of these and you'd see that changed. So as I'm hitting escape now, as you pull it down, it moves down. So originally we were here in row 7, so as I pull it down, it went to row 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. Okay, so that's what's called a relative reference, and we'll talk a little bit more about that in a minute. Okay, now here it says correct the 5 formulas that are showing error messages or 0 over here in column F. What's wrong with these? There's something going on. And so this is just to kind of help you recognize sometimes you have error messages and how to fix them. The easiest way to do it is to go ahead and click in here, and we're going to double click. And when we double click onto it, it shows us what it is we're trying to do. It says we're referencing cell D19 through D23, and it looks to me like we're trying to get an average. Well, if you notice right here, average is spelled incorrectly. So here, if I spell average correctly and then hit my enter key, it says the formula, it's got this at symbol. It wants to take that at symbol out. At was something we used in earlier versions of Excel, so it's fine for it to go ahead and take that out. So you can see here now, it's taking that average and it's able to actually give us a number. We're no longer getting that name value error. Name typically means the function name doesn't make sense. This one is a division by 0 error. Let's see what that one is. Okay, now it's got average, got it spelled out, and it's taking the average of cells C19 through C23. Well, I can't take an average of a text string. So what's wrong in this one is it really, instead of C19 through C23, it should be D19 through D23. That would give us the numbers that we could then take the average of. Okay, and so we can see there that division by 0 was saying it was trying to divide by something it couldn't count. So it was trying to count them up, and it's not able to do that. This one here is saying the value doesn't make sense. Okay, and let's see why. It says we've got D19 plus D20 plus C21 plus D22 plus D23. The issue here is right here where our C21 is, and it's trying to add a name to these numeric values. And so just an error in what cell we were taking. So I highlighted that C21, clicked over here to D21. You could just type it in either way. And now we get that summation of those values. Okay, this one here is saying it's giving us a 0 value. Let's find out why. And here it's because we're using the count function. The count function, if I were to go in, I'm going to go ahead and hit this little FX symbol right here. And this is our insert function symbol. And what it does is it opens a dialog box. It either allows us to insert a function or when we're in a function to open the dialog box. And it says here count does, and I'm going to read down here, it says counts the number of cells in a range that contains numbers. Does this range that we have currently highlighted, C19 through C23, contain numbers? No, it doesn't. So in this instance, in order to actually count those, we need to count this numeric set of numbers. It has to be able to count numbers and not text. Okay. So there's that one, and that gave us a number now. Let's see what this one's got. This one's trying to take the maximum value of a set of text. Again, it can't do that. If we were to pull up and look at what max does, it says returns the largest value in a set of values, ignores logical values in text. So it can't do that for text. So what we want to do here is I'm going to go ahead and highlight that C19 through C23. And we need to make that numeric. Okay, so that takes care of that one. All right, now we've got, it says calculate the commission amount for Bob in cell F31. Use the autofill handle, which is our little green box to pull down, to copy the formula down through cell F34. And this one says consider whether you want to use relative, mixed, or absolute reference. Okay, I'm going to actually bring up something on my computer, and I'm going to show you guys a little something about relative, absolute, and mixed reference. Okay, so I'm going to come in here to our sketchpad, and I'm going to clear this one that I have on here. I was using that in another class. Okay, so what we've got here is we have 3 different types of messages. Okay, the first one is going to be relative. Okay, and I'm just writing here on my screen, so hopefully it'll make sense to you. A relative reference is what we've seen so far, something like A14. Okay, column A, row 14. If I were then to use the copy feature and move that cell or copy that cell, if I move it to another column, it'll move over that amount and it'll change. So A14 might change to B15 if I were to move it one column over and one row down. Okay. Then we have what's called absolute. Okay. An absolute reference looks something like this. And the dollar signs mean that the column here, where I've got A stays the same. And the row here, the row stays the same. So if I try to copy that cell or do something with that cell, that reference remains the same. It doesn't change as I move around my spreadsheet. And so that's why we call that an absolute reference. Then we have what's called mixed references. Okay, and mixed references can be written one of 2 ways. It might be a $A14 where your column remains the same, or it might be a $14, and in that instance, your row would remain the same. So these are what we would call mixed references, and they allow us to really hang on to a particular value if it's a value that we want to reference in an entire table, for instance, or something of that nature. So just kind of hopefully give you that information. All right. So with that information, it says here we want to calculate the commission amount for Bob in cell F31. Okay, so this is where we're going to put that. What we want to do to calculate a sales commission, it says, is it's our sales amount times our commission rate. Well, right here's our commission rate. Okay, So that's going to be pretty straightforward. We're going to say our commission is equal to this sales amount, E31, and we'll say times our commission rate. Okay. Now I'm going to leave this way. It's actually wrong, but the reason I want to leave it this way is I want to show you guys that what it's doing is how that relative and absolute reference works. Okay. So we get the commission rate, that's 5,000. 5% of 100,000 is 5,000. If I copy this down, I'm going to get errors, okay? And the reason I have an error, and I'm going to double click on it and show you why. Notice when I did that, it says now E33 times C33. Well, there's nothing in C33. So I need this commission rate to stay the same as I'm copying it down. So in order to do that, I'm going to hit escape and I'm going to undo that copy, okay? In order to do that, when we're here with this C31, we need to make sure those dollar signs are in there, okay? There's a very quick way to do this on your keyboard. If you're using a Windows-based PC, it's the F4 key. If you're using a Macintosh, I believe it is, and you guys are going to actually have to look this up, honestly. I think it's Command Command F4. If you're using a laptop, you may have to have your function key turned on in order to use the function keys. So it's going to depend, but read through the literature to confirm which one it is. On mine, I use a laptop right now, and I have to have my function key turned on, and I hit F4. As soon as I hit F4 on my keyboard, my dollar signs go in there. So I went from relative to absolute. What's nice about the F4 key is if I hit it again, I get the mixed reference where my row stays the same. If I hit it again, I get the mixed reference where my column stays the same. And then if I hit it again, I get the relative reference. So I'm going to go ahead and do that absolute reference and go ahead and hit enter. Number's the same, but now when I pull it down, you'll see that I get numbers here. And when I look at it, it did move down for the dollar amount, but my commission rate stayed the same. So that's kind of a really neat way of doing that. Okay, so let's go ahead and just review real quick. The symbol here that we want to use for our absolute reference is going to be the dollar sign. And the quick key on your keyboard that you can use for that is F4. It might be a shift F4 or something to use that. Okay, this next section talks about, says, what percentage of this monthly budget is spent on utilities and rent? So now it's asking us to calculate a percentage. If you don't recall how to do percentages, I've added a folder out into the class that hopefully will help you with that. And if we go out to Blackboard, you'll see that right here you've got a How to MS Office Helps folder. I've got that, and here it says Math Concepts Used in BCIS 1305, and you'll come in here and this will walk you through a different series of math concepts, how to do different totals, discount amounts, discount pricing, percent change. There's one right here though where it's talking about percent, and percent typically how we talk about it is it's the part divided by the whole. So the part divided by the whole. So that's what we're going to be using for this particular instance. Okay. Some of the other items that are here is this if VLOOKUP payment help sheet, and this one walks you through the if function and gives you an example, VLOOKUP gives you an example, and payment and gives you an example. And those are some of the basic functions that we're going to be using in this class. Another one that it has is this functions list, and this is just a list of the different functions that are going to, you may need to think about as you're walking through some of the things you may use here in BCIS or in some of your basic information going out into a few basic other classes as well. So there's some of those items for you. And then there's some videos down here below that. It talks about absolute and relative reference, and there's a file here you can download to work with. These are all YouTube videos and this Hoon Kim site. And these are a little bit older videos for Excel, but they're still valid. The functions still work the same. So kind of walking through what some of those are, and you can see you've got quite a few different ones you can do. So that's out there for you as well. Okay. So let's go back into Excel. So what this says is it said that percentage is the part divided by the whole. Okay, in this instance, it says what percentage of the monthly budget, that's going to be our total budget, is spent on utilities or rent. So here for utilities, it's going to say equals, and the part is the utilities amount divided by the total. So that gives us our part divided by our whole, and in this instance, it's going to be a percentage. If that came up as a number, for instance, you have, and you wanted to make sure you had it as a percentage, you could either click this percent style, or you could come here and click percentage here. Either one of those ways to get that there. In this instance, I've already formatted it for you. Okay. For the rent, same thing. The rent is 500, and we're going to divide that by our total budget, and then we can see that our rent is 54%. Okay. So those would be a basic calculation that you might need to do using a formula. Okay, this one says determine the number of people in Amarillo that are female, here in cell C55, and the number that are male, that's here in C56. Okay, so the number that are female out of the total. So in this instance, you have to think about, okay, I've got to rearrange my fraction. Okay, so in rearranging my fraction, what I want to have is I'm going to have it's my part divided by my whole is equal to my percentage. So in this instance, I'm going to have equals, I want to take my percent times my whole, and that should give me the number of women in Amarillo according to this particular population. Now I can copy that down, but when I do, what happens? You can see that I don't have that as an absolute reference. So we have two items here. I'm going to hit escape and undo that. You could either just do the formula again, or in your female, in the calculation here for female, we would want to make this F55 absolute. So either way, that will work. And then we can pull that down. And now we see we've got 99 and 91. And this one says 190,000. Now you'll notice when I pulled that down, the formatting of this one changed. So if you wanted to make sure you kept that underlined, you might just do the formula twice, or we could just come up here and make that an underline. Looks like it needs to be a darker underline. So I'm going to go ahead and format painter it and make that a darker underline. And then I'm going to make it have comma style with less decimal points, and then center it so it pulls it back. We could also come here and go ahead and center that on. Looks like centered. It did not center it the same way. It's on the bottom. Interesting. It did not center it the same way. Oh, it's because it's custom. Let's make that a number. And now bring that back. There it is. Now it's doing it the same way. Still not wanting to do it though. Interesting. I'm going to go ahead and copy that format again. And now that's got a double underline underneath it. So we'll just come in and put a double bottom border. And that way, sometimes when it's doing it, you just have to say, you know, this isn't working the way I expected it to. So we'll do it the way we know how. So now we've got a formula here, taking the percent times the population. And we've got a formula here taking the percent times the population. Okay, and then we're going to take this last one down here. It says determine the percent change in price from 2018 to 2016 for the items listed below. And this one says use that math concepts used in BCIS file that we'll use to calculate percent change. So let's go take a quick look again at that math concepts, and we're going to look at how to do a percent change. And percent change is going to be, I think it's down, let's see, it's right here, percent change. Key thing you want for percent change is it says it's the new value minus the old value, and those are going to be in parentheses, divided by the old value. So new minus old divided by old. Okay, so let's go back to Excel. So to get our percent change, I'm going to do an equals, and then I'm going to open that parenthesis because it says we're going to need to have a parenthesis where our numerator needs to be together. So our new value minus, that's 2016, our old value, the cost in 2008, close that parenthesis, divided by our old value. So it's new minus old divided by old, according to that sheet. Okay, so our percent change is that the loaf of bread went up basically about 18%. I'm going to go ahead and copy that down. And we see here a movie ticket went up, a dozen eggs went up. In this instance, that's kind of a humorous, that the pay went down. Now, this is showing a negative percent change. What that means is that from the old value to the new value, it went down. It's perfectly okay to have a negative percent change if the numbers make sense for that. Okay, so I kind of give you an overview of formulas, and then in the next video, I'll start talking about functions.